Alright folks, let me show you where I am. So as you can see, I have the board populated and I have all the wires that I need to connect it. Alright, and the way that I checked that was I used this wiring diagram right here, and you can see that for all the connections that I needed I drew an orange line, and that's represented by this board right here. So the next step is going to be to figure out where to mount this in the chassis. Okay. Now, if you recall, I said that I would want to keep the board this way. Okay, so that I have all of my connections to my 12AX7 tube and my 6V6 tube coming right off of this side of the board. Now you'll see I've got really long wires here, and I'm going to have a lot of extra hookup wire when I'm done. But just to give you a reference point, here's the three caps, right? And looking at this wiring diagram right here, you'll see the three caps are right here, and here's my tubes. So we're going to be mounting it this way. Okay? Now, I said I'm going to use this insulated board. This insulated board is basically just a board that goes right behind here and prevents these connections on the bottom. Right? You'll see there are some cross connections under here. So all that board does is just kind of clamp that down and protect it. So if I go according to my plan, this is how the board should look, right? There should be the two boards sandwiched together like this, and there should be a little space coming out. But that also gives me a template for where to mount this on the chassis. So, looking under my chassis, I'm going to move these resistors out of the way. You'll see that I probably can mount it right about here. Alright, by doing that, I've got clearance to come to the 12AX7, and I've got some clearance coming out going to the 6V6. That will also give me some room for the wires that come out here to go various places. Okay? But I think with this lamp here, it may be in the way a little bit. So I'm going to probably just slide over just a little bit, because I'm looking at my connections coming out of this board, and you'll see right there I'm probably going to be in a little bit of a conflict with the 6.3 volt filament winding there. Okay, so I can either go this way or I can go this way, and I think I'm going to choose, just off the top of my head here, if I go right about here, that makes a lot of sense, and I'll tell you why. If I leave that where that is, if I look at the board right here in the center, on this side, there's no connections coming off of here. So that'll fit right in that space where the dial light is, or the lamp. So that's going to be the winner, right there. I'm going to take this board, I'm going to put it where I want it, and I'm going to take my Sharpie, and I'm going to mark the holes that I need to drill to mount the board. Just like that. Okay? So this is the kind of stuff that you have to plan ahead for, because if I didn't just check that, I would arbitrarily be drilling holes somewhere and then I'd have to redo it. As you all know, that's something I'm famous for. So let's drill some holes in this thing. And I think this size bit will be just fine. Don't be afraid to drill in these things. Okay, let's start on this one right here. Make sure it doesn't escape. After you get the first one done, I'm just going to check my template again, make sure it still lines up. Okay. And we'll do the second hole. Okay. Let's check our template again. Perfect. Those holes line up really well. One thing you have to be careful of when you're drilling these chassis is you don't want any of that sheet metal that's flying around to get stuck in there. So typically what I'll do is just bang it out on the desk here, and then I'll clean off my desk. Okay. Now on this I'm going to use some standoffs. I'm actually going to raise it up off the chassis. And I've got some 1/4 inch standoffs right here. You'll see right here. So let's just try one, see what it looks like. So we're going to put this right here. Put this little standoff on here, like this. We're going to put one on this one here. Like that. Okay. And then I've got my board, like so. And then I've got this board. Just like that. Okay? So that's how we're going to mount it. I'm going to go off camera and mount these because I want to use a little bit of a longer screw here. These screws are a little too short. I want to make sure I've got enough clearance on top to put the nut there. So I'm going to go off camera and fix that, but I wanted to show you how we're going to mount the board. This is exactly how it's going to look. I'll be right back. Okay, so the board is mounted, and I've got all the wires here that I need to connect to these tubes, and I've got all these connections here that go to the inputs, and these are my grounds right here. So I've got everything neatly laid out. I did end up spinning this indicator lamp socket holder slightly because I don't want these 6.3 volt filaments to be anywhere near the board. So I've spun it up just like that, and it's now out of the way, so I'm happy with that. So then really the next step for me is going to go through my wiring diagram here, and we're going to look at it upside down. There's the bird. And first thing we're going to do is we're going to connect the 12AX7 tube, which is right here. Okay? And that's going to be this yellow wire, this blue wire, this green wire right here, and then I've got a couple of other wires coming out here, a yellow and a red, and then lastly this white one, and that's it. These are all the wires that go to the 12AX7 right here, this bundle. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're just going to put those to the side for a second. This wire here goes to the speaker, so we're not going to need that. And this bundle of wires here go to the 6v6. Okay? Actually, one of these goes to the rectifier too, but we'll do that later. So, so that's the plan. So now I get to take these wires and make them much, much shorter. You'll see it's just like that, right? So I'm going to get to cut all this off. So that's where we are. So I'm going to do some wiring, and I'll send you I'll come back when I have an update for you. Thanks. Alright, just to give you an update, I've got the two tubes wired. So let's take a look at the 12AX7 tube. I'm going to try to do this while on a tripod here. And you'll see the 12AX7 tube is connected, and the wires are nice and short. And then if you look over here, there's the 6v6. Let me pull the shot back a little bit, just to show you a few more things here. So I've got the two tubes connected, so all that's really left to do now is this goes to the speaker, this goes to the output transformer, this is a ground, this is a ground, and this is a ground, so I need to connect all these three ground points together. These two yellow wires right here go to the input jacks, input jack 1 and 2, and this blue wire here goes to the volume power switch, as well as this wire here. And that's pretty much the entire amp. I did spin this this light around again. Let me see if I can pull this up. So you'll see here that I now have the wires way above where this board is, if you could see that. So there's plenty of clearance. And then of course I just need to lead dress these wires, make sure that I lift them up so they're not on top of each other. And you'll see I've got my my tubes connected. So the next step for me, I think, here is going to be to gator wire in the output transformer and gator in some input, or at least one input for now, and do a test and see how this thing works. That's going to be my next experiment. And then in parallel, what I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to wire in this VU meter that I got from Don. And this is going to be a very, very cool, unique amp when this is done. I know by looking at the back of this that it has a 6-volt lamp. There's 2 bulbs in here. I've already taken it apart and I can replace the bulbs. One works, one doesn't. So I know that there's a 6-volt here, so that really it works out well because I have the filament here. What I don't know if it's 6-volt AC or DC, but I'll figure that part out. And then I have to think about how I'm going to wire this into the circuit. I think typically what you do is you put it on your speaker output and you put a diode or a capacitor in here somewhere. But I got to do a little research on that part. But that would be a really cool addition to the amp. So I'm going to figure out how I wire that into the schematic. So so that's it for now. So my day tomorrow is going to be spent with the gator wire and the output transformer. Let me show you which output transformer I'm going to use. So I've got a very small one right here. It's an 8 ohm output transformer, very simple. I've got a blue and a red wire here, and a green and a black, which go to the speaker jack. If you look at the wiring diagram here, you see the blue and the red. You'll see here it actually mentions the red right here, which is going to go to this wire, and the blue goes to pin 3 on the 6V6. So this output transformer is a very, very simple connection. I'll mount it on top, and then the green and the black come out here for the speaker jack, which in this case I'm going to be using as a combo amp, but I still am going to put a 1/4-inch jack on it so you can unplug the speaker and plug it into another cabinet if you wanted. That's where we are. Alright, I'll end this video again, and I'll probably post it tomorrow on Sunday, being that I put one up today, and we'll see where we're going. This is Ron. Thanks.